Hi everyone, today I'm talking about Arista Networks, and I'm talking about Arista Networks because it brought out some earnings, and the earnings wasn't too bad, but because there was a massive outlook cut, this then sent the stock to go down absolutely huge. It did start recovering some of them losses, but it did take a massive dent on the stock, and the outlook cut was absolutely massive, and it did kind of spook investors, and it kind of shook the stock because the outlook pretty much came out and said that they are going to be way below revenue expectations going forward because of losing a big massive customer. So today I'm going to take that information and then I'm going to review Arista Networks and I'm going to give my opinion on what I think of the stock and if I'm actually going to go buy some shares in the company. Before we get into the video, guys, can you make sure you give the video a like, subscribe if you hasn't, because it really helps the channel out. And thank you so much for 500 subscribers, guys. It means so much, and we'll have a look into Arista Networks stock. Now, I actually made a video about Arista Networks only a few months ago talking about Arista Networks and saying that I believe there's about a 20% upside from here. And now because the stock's down a little bit more, does that now make the stock quite attractive? And I'll balance everything out and give my opinion of it going forward. But Arista Networks, if you look at the stock chart, not so long ago, it had its IPO around about 2014. The stock went up quite a lot. We were talking about a $300 stock at one point. And then since 2018, it's had a bit of a choppy time. The stock's been up and down quite a bit and it hasn't really gone anywhere. Kind of been a very volatile stock, very much being controlled by a lot of swing traders. And now the stock is starting to drop a little bit lower from there. Now, when we actually look at the big drop that Arista Networks had on Friday, the stock actually dropped below the 200-day moving average, but it actually then came back above it, which was a really good sign for an investor. So if you can stay above that 200-day moving average, that'd be really good for the stock. Obviously, if it did then fall below it, then it would cause a few problems. But right now, that's a really good support for Arista Networks to be going on. Now, we are talking about Arista Networks for a long-term hold, but just in short term, it does help to know what's going on with the stock. And at the moment, it does have a little bit of support right there. Now, I've got a couple of positives with the stock and negatives of the stock, and then I'll give my final opinion on it. Now, obviously, it's on a big, massive discount, and I'm a guy that likes to go buy stocks on discounts and try to pick them up for cheap. That's where I like to buy them. And we do see Arista Networks on quite a bit of a discount right now. Now, I have to say, though, these are a couple of reasons why it's on that discount, and we'll talk about it and kind of balances it worth the discount it's on. But another good point with Arista Networks is that it currently has no debt and it has a fantastic balance sheet. The last time Arista Networks had some sort of debt on its balance sheet was back in 2014 near its IPO, and now it doesn't have any debt at all, which is a really good thing because when you invest into a company, especially a company that's kind of struggling, have to bring massive hit like what Arista Networks has had, it helps to know there's not much debt on there. Also, I like looking at PE and judging a company by its PE. We look at Arista Networks. It is at its lowest PE it's ever been at, which is fantastic news. At the same time, I do kind of think that it could be a bit of a lower PE than this because of how bad the news has been. I feel like the PE could be somewhere in the teen range, where it's still kind of in the 20s, which kind of says to me that it could be a little bit cheaper than what it is right now. And the last great point about this company is, let's not forget, this company has a lot of potential to keep growing. It's in an area which has a lot of growth in that kind of cloud sector. It's going to have a lot of potential to carry on growing from here. Now, even though it's going to carry on growing, it's going to take a while for it to recover the effect of what's happened with the drop of losing a big, massive customer that makes up to 20 to 25% of its revenue. You know, that growth will take a while for it to kind of catch up to where it is right now in terms of revenue. So, and also that growth has been slowing down recently, but it does still offer quite a good growth, and it still will be in the teen range going forward from here. So it is still going to have some decent amount of growth with the company right now. Now, the bad news is, obviously from Friday, is that it has lost a massive customer. A few people were coming out and saying that it was Microsoft, but a few people are saying it was Facebook that it has lost. On the actual earnings report, it actually didn't say who the actual customer it was that it lost, but people are speculating on it. And either way, it was a big customer lost. It is a customer that they lost that makes up about 20 to 25% of the revenue. And obviously now it's dropped the next quarter's revenue down to about 500 million, where we were expecting about 680 million. So, you know, we're talking about a big, massive decline in revenue right now, which is obviously going to take a big, massive effect on the company. Now, another negative point with this stock that I mentioned when I last made this video in August about Arista Networks is that one thing that always worried me with this stock is what the insiders are doing. Now, in the last video, I said that I do like the company, but one of the big red flags for me at the time was that A lot of insiders were selling and zero insiders were buying the stock, which is always a red flag, because if you hold inside the company, you have a good understanding what's going on, and if you feel like the stock is undervalued and you know you're going to do well and you're going to bounce back from it, you're going to have a lot of insiders actually buying a lot more shares. Now, what happened with Arista Networks is that there were still people selling the shares after the last decline. And I was like, well, hold on, this stuff makes sense. You should be buying the shares. So I was like, that's a bit worrying. And then maybe this is what was happening. They knew that they were going to lose this customer. It hadn't come out. And to be honest with you as well, I feel like Arista Networks should have probably, said that, oh, we've just lost a customer before earnings. And then it would have kind of like shielded the shock from earnings. So I think that was kind of bad management as well. So that whole thing did worry me slightly. So that is a negative with the stock, that there still is not insiders buying it at these levels. And my third point is poor management. Now, I slated management a bit in the last earnings call because they were doing a bad job of saying, like, they pretty much came out and said, we have no idea where we're going to get any more new customers from because it's slowing down. And now they've kind of like hid this major customer going away from leaving the company as well, and leaving it to the earnings report where they had to release it, really. So I think the management side has to be questioned slightly in Arista Networks as well. And because of this bad management, it has led to growth slowing down recently over the last few years, which is another negative of the company overall. So my kind of opinion with Arista Networks from here is that I still don't think it's a bad company, and it is on a discount. It does have a fantastic balance sheet, and it does appear cheap on the PE. But last time I made this video and it was trading at $220, I said I see 20% upside. Now, even though it's on a big, massive discount right now, I kind of have to balance out that it's just lost a massive a customer, and that's going to take a major effect on the company. And now, is it still at that same price target for me? Personally, I feel like same again. I feel like there's 20% upside from these prices, which is balanced out with that big loss of that customer right now. And even though there's still some growth, there's a lot of questions for me. I've got to question the management, which I think are doing a poor job. I think that how they've left it to get into this problem is worrying. I'm worried about how they're not buying shares. Like, surely if they feel like the company's in a good place, they should be buying a lot more insider shares at these points, which they're not doing, which last time I said was a red flag as well. So for me, at the moment, when I look at Arista Networks, there's a few problems right there that makes me kind of think, is there better investments out there? Is there better investments where I can get a 20% return on? And I think there is, and that's what puts me off Arista Networks at the moment. But if the stock carries on at these prices and it's at the same price in a year's time, and the company starts to get customers back and their growth starts to level out the loss of this customer, and it starts getting back into the, making 600, 700 revenue a quarter, then I'll be a little bit more happy to go and buy. And also, if I see insiders buying, that'll make me a little bit more happier and make me sleep at night knowing that it can't be in that bad a position. But right now, I think there's a few more questions, and with the risk and reward, I feel like there's a lot more better reward in a lot more stocks out there. And let's not forget, it has a lot of competition, and I do have companies in my portfolio that also are in the cloud industry right now. So for me, Arista Networks right now is not a company I'll touch, because I look at stocks like iRobot and Facebook, and I personally see a lot more reward in them companies from my point of view. So that's probably why I'm not buying Arista Networks right now. But if you were looking into the stock, I hope this did help you guys. Like I say, that's just my opinion, but I do try and kind of like be helpful if I can be, if you're looking into the company overall. But if you could give the video a like, guys, subscribe if you haven't, that'd be absolutely amazing. It helps the channel out. And I'll see you in the next video.